Oh.
Good evening.
How are you, Shai? Okay?
Yeah, good.
Sorry? Shana, away.
I fed my snake on Sunday, and I decided to do it outdoor where it feels more comfortable. And I was dangling the mouse in front of its nose, and suddenly it's never done it before. It grabbed the mouse with natural instinct at such speed I only realized like a second later it was in its mouth already being eaten. I got such a shock.
A dead mouse.
Yeah. I caught it on camera as well.
Wow. Wait a second, you buy dead mice from this Vine and Viper shop?
No, we don't get it from there. We get like that sort of shop, but not from that actual shop.
How much does it cost? How many times a day does it need to get fed?
I don't know, they're about maybe £1 each, not that much.
And how often does it get fed?
Pardon?
How often does the snake get fed?
Now, once about every 5 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks.
Once in 5 weeks, the snake eats?
It doesn't need to eat any more often. In the wild, there's I think it's a boa constrictor, I'm not sure which one it is. It only needs to eat once a year if it has a good square meal.
Imagine that, only eating one meal a year. Probably waits till Shavuos, eats the meal on Shavuos, then afterwards waits another year for next Shavuos. Okay, I'd like every day to say something about Megillah Shavuos or something about Shavuos at the end for literally a minute or two. Is everybody okay? Oh, it's beautiful weather. I don't remember having such a beautiful weather. Hope you're all happy around.
It's a coronavirus special.
Yeah, that's right. What are you doing today? Where have you been? I hope you're learning in the garden and things like that. Working in the garden. Or is everything okay?
Working in the office.
If you have
Moishi lent me some of his bandwidth and I could learn in the garden, but my internet doesn't reach there.
See, Moshe, it's all your fault.
I'm sure I get proper internet.
Right. We're starting a new perk. We did a bit of yesterday, a bit fast, and we'll start a new perk today. It's much easier daf than the next few daf. Not a lot easier. But... Okay, at the end of the show, we'll do a bit about Shavuos, but not now. We're also going want to do a bit more than a daf a day because of Shavuos, etc. We're starting a new perk. The next few Mishnayos is a series of Mishnayos, which they all have one thing in common. They have nothing to do with Shabbos, first of all. But what they do have in common is that they all discuss a halacha and bring a posuk as a mekor, but the posuk's not really like a drosha, but it's much more of an asmachta. I mean, it's like some sort of remes from the posuk. And really, many times the halacha is only d'Rabbanan. The pasuk is just like a place where we see the idea. So let's first do the Mishnah inside. We'll discuss what's the connection to do with Shabbos. Says the Mishnah. Amar Rabbi Akiva. Minayin la'avodah shemetame b'masu kenida. If a person was to carry a woman who's a nida, then a person becomes Tommy. Similarly, says Rabbi Akiva, avodah is metame like a nida. Shenema. How do I know that avodah zarah is metame like a nida? Tizrein, the pasuk refers to avodah zarah, that a person, Mashiach will come, will not be interested in avodah zarah. Tizrein, you'll scatter them k'moidava like a nida. Say to him, aloi, ma nida metame b'masa, af avodah zarah metame b'masa. So the Mishnah tells us quite a few halachas. Halacha number one is avodah zarah is metame. Min ha'teira be'emes, avodah zarah is not tummy. If a person was to go into a mosque or a church and pick up avodah zarah, min ha'teira one is not tummy. But midrabanan one is tummy. Says Rabbi Akiva, which level of tumah is there? The tumah of a nida. And he brings a pasuk to support it. So says Rashi. Rashi asks the question, what's the connection to do with Shabbos? How did this land in Shabbos? Says Rashi. It's the first Rashi of this period.
Does that mean he has the halachas of Tumas Medrus then?
Oh, very good. You ask a very good question. The exact specifications of the Tumah of avodah zarah is going to be the next daf and a half in the Gemara. Well, that's what we're going to discuss. What exact Tumah is there? We'll do in the middle of Rashi. Rashi asks the Kasha. The first Rashi in the Perk. We're going to have a Mishnah which discusses How do we know you're allowed to wash a baby who's had bris milah on Shabbos? And that's got to do with Al Shabbos. It means later there's going to be a Mishnah, where the Mishnah is going to ask, how do we know you're allowed to wash a baby done bris milah on Shabbos? And bring a pasuk. So therefore, we bring a list of Mishnayos which are similar in style, that they all ask the question, how do you know? And bring a pasuk. Tosfos does not like it. There's a real question on Rashi's Pshat is that it is true that many times the Mishnayos say something, and then they go off on the tangent. And the first Mishnah had to do a bit with the original topic, and the next Mishnayos go off on the tangent. But it's rare that the Mishnah should tell us something else because of a later Mishnah which has to do with the previous topic. Let me take this. The Mishnah will tell us, let's say, Ein Bein, there's no difference between this and this Gav Shabbos Yom Tov. And then once it tells us that, it tells us a lot of other Ein Beins. Right? Here, so let's see Tosfos inside, the top Tosfos. Rashi explains, meaning, if the reason this Mishnah is stated is because of the next Mishnah later, that means like this: you said the Mishnah, which has to do with Shabbos, and once you tell me a Mishnah which has to do with Shabbos, then you go and throw in other Mishnahs which don't really have to do with Shabbos, but they're very similar in style. But that would work if you bring a Mishnah to do with Shabbos, and then afterwards you bring other Mishnahs which follow on the same style. But to start off with other Mishnahs, because later you're going to have a Mishnah like that we don't see. So Tosfos says, the last Mishnah we had in the previous page talked about what size does a piece of earthenware have to be considered important. And we brought a pasuk in Novi, which is like a bit of an asmachta. Asmachta is a pasuk which is not a proper makoi, but it's simply a place where it's hinted at. Since the Mishnah said something which is a hint, we bring other Mishnahs which tell us something which is hinted at. Okay, we'll just summarize what we've just learned. We're going to have loads of Mishnahs now that have nothing to do with the Shabbos. They all are similar in style, that they all ask a question, and they're answered from a pasuk in Novi, which is an asmachta, meaning it is a place where the similar idea can be seen, but not the exact idea. The question is, what's it to do over here? Rashi says, because later we're going to have a Mishnah to do with Shabbos. Tosfos doesn't like that. Tosfos says it's over here because of the fact that the previous Mishnah told us in asmachta what's a good size, a piece of earthenware. So once we decided what asmachta, we bring many other asmachtas. We're not going to discuss anymore why these Mishnahs come. This is the end of that topic. Now we're just going to discuss what the Mishnah actually says. The Mishnah tells us that Avodah Zarah is metame like a niddah. It's important to be aware that there are many categories of tumah. We're going to speak mainly about three. There's niddah or zava, which have similar kinds of tumah. There's tmei meis, and there's sheretz. Each one has different halachas. Sheretz is a dead reptile. Shai was talking earlier about feeding snakes. So they like to eat dead mice, only once every 4 or 5 weeks. But a dead mouse could be a dead sheretz metame. And there are many halachas of sheretz. Does anybody know a particularly chomor halacha regarding sheretz? It's metame b'chadosham. Even a tiny size of a sheretz is metame, a small lentil of a sheretz. So sheretz is a dead reptile. That's one kind of tumah. Another kind of tumah is called tmei meis. What's unique, for example, about tmei meis? Anybody know something unique about tmei meis? It's metame b'oihel. If chas v'shalom a person walks into the house of a dead person, he becomes tummy. If you walk into the house of a dead reptile, you don't become tummy. Tmei meis is metame b'oihel. Anybody in the tent becomes tummy. And then we have tumas niddah. Tumas niddah, for example, has tumas medus, like you said earlier, where, for example, if a niddah sits on the couch, even if there are 10 pillows, one on top of the other, all of them become tummy. Now, our Mishnah told us two things, that Avodah Zarah is tummy. As we pointed out, it's only D'Rabbanan, not D'Oraisa. And which kind of tumah is tumas niddah. We're now going to have a very long sugya, exactly which tumah it is. And the more explains. So now, awesome. We'll bring a Mishnah which talks about halachas of Avodah Zarah. A person owns a semi-detached house, and one half of the semi-detached house is his own home, the other half belongs to Avodah Zarah. But not, and the house, the wall, the whole house falls down. So if a person was to rebuild their own house, they're actually benefiting Avodah Zarah. How are they benefiting Avodah Zarah? Because since it's a semi-detached house, by building your house, you're building a wall for Avodah Zarah. So you're not allowed to build it. What should you do? You build your house 4 amos away from it. It's a big loss. Think about it. If you own a property 10 amos by 10 amos, and you're semi-detached Avodah Zarah, and then the house falls in, you can't rebuild it as is, because then you'll be building a wall for Avodah Zarah. So you have to give up on 4 amos and build your house 4 amos away from Avodah Zarah. The Gemara there says, but you don't want to leave that area spare, because if you leave it spare, that Avodah Zarah gain, because they had a semi-detached house, and now they've got a bigger property because you've moved your property 4 amos away from the borderline. So rather, what you should do is you should designate it as a place to go to the bathroom, or as a place to store all your thorns and things like that. So the point is like this: if a person owns a semi-detached house and it falls down, you can't rebuild it. Why can't you rebuild it? Because by rebuilding it, you are actually benefiting Avodah Zarah. Top of pay base on the base. If the area where the wall fell down was half yours, half the Avodah Zarah, nidei mechza al mechza. So then we'd consider half the area of the wall yours, half the Avodah Zarah's, and you start counting the 4 amos from halfway. Let's say the thickness of the wall was 2 amos, a nice thick wall, and the wall fell down. So you say like this: 2 amos wall, we share it, so it's as if it's 1 amma each. So therefore, I only have to go into my property 3 amos and start building, because the thickness of the wall is shared. So that's ready, 2 amos thickness. It's shared between me and Avodah Zarah. It says 1 amma each. So I only have to go into mine 3 amos. Says the Mishnah weiter. Abonov, the stones, the eitzov and the wood, v'afar metamin kesheretz. They're all metamin kesheretz. And it's interessant halacha that it's all tamei kesheretz, even though we just talked about a semi-detached house. A semi-detached house, when the wall falls in, half the bricks are mine, half the Avodah Zarah. But the halacha is that all the bricks are tamei. Why are they tamei? Because the Avodah Zarah is considered a partnership in every stone. I mean, whenever we have a partnership, let's say we own a wall between the two of us that falls in. So how do we decide who gets what? The answer is we divide it because we've got no choice. But really, each brick is owned by both. Since each brick is owned by both, therefore, each brick is tamei. Every bit of earth, every bit of wood that comes from this broken down wall is completely tamei. But the Mishnah says a very interesting thing, if you notice. Metamin kesheretz. The metame like a dead reptile, not like our Mishnah. What did our Mishnah say? It's metame like what? Like a niddah. And next, metame kesheretz. Shenema. And the Mishnah brings a proof. Shaketz the shatzenu v'geva. The simple translation is they should abominate it. But the word sheketz can also mean a creepy, crawly, a reptile. So therefore, from the pasuk, it's a mavor. It seems saying that the wall of Avodah Zarah that falls in is metame like a dead reptile. Says, Tos asks the kasha that we have a halacha, the Avodah Zarah that collapses, top of Tosfos. And what is the halacha Avodah Zarah that collapses? That what happens is that it's no longer an Avodah Zarah. A person sees his Avodah Zarah crumbling, he realizes that it's not a really good Avodah Zarah, and therefore it's not asaba not. Says Tosfos here we're talking about where the goy treats every brick as a new Avodah Zarah. So therefore, when he sees the wall breaking down, he doesn't get put off the Avodah Zarah because each brick is his own Avodah Zarah. So for that brick is Avodah Zarah, that brick is Avodah Zarah. So therefore, he hasn't seen his Avodah Zarah actually crumble. He's just seen the wall crumble. Okay. Says is that clear? Otherwise, once the Avodah Zarah actually crumbles in pieces, you know, it was story of Avraham Avinu with Nimrod and his father Terach. He broke the Avodah Zarah. Once the Avodah Zarah is broken, people lose respect for it. But here we're talking about each stone is considered its own Avodah Zarah. So the Tanna Kama holds, if you ask the Tanna Kama, is Avodah Zarah tamei, he would say yes. Which kind of tumah, says the Tanna Kama? Like a sheltz. Comes along Rabbi Akiva, which is the Tanna of our Mishnah. Rabbi Akiva Imer Nida, Shenema, Tizvim, Kvidovo, Ma Nida Metame B'Maso, Af Avodah Zarah Metame B'Maso. Rabbi Akiva argues. That means there are two psukim discussing Avodah Zarah. One pasuk calls it a sheketz, and one pasuk calls it a niddah. The Tanna Kama says, because the pasuk calls it a sheketz, therefore it's got tumah like a sheretz. Rabbi Akiva says, since the Torah calls it a niddah, therefore it's got tumah like a niddah. Now Rabbi explains a bit. Omar Rabbi, Tizreim d'Omar Kro, what does the word Tizreim mean? Nochrinu enoch kezar, treat it like zor. The Apostle translation, Tizreim means to scatter it. But he reads the word Tizreim meloshin zors, stranger. Treat it like a strange thing. Say to maloi, say to it go. He comes out to maloi. One should never tell Avodah Zarah to come in. There are arguments in the Mefarshim. What did Rabbi want to add with this statement? Pashat Pshat is he was just explaining the pasuk. That Tizrei means treat it like a strange thing, something which you have no comfort with, and say means get out, not in. Others explained that he wanted to explain the next halacha, l'shitosoi, that the Torah over here is emphasizing how bad Avodah Zarah is, because Rabbi comes up with a chomul dika shita. I will explain. Omar Rabbi, b'masa, to carry Avodah Zarah, the kulam pligi do metame. Everybody agrees it's metame. Now, one must remember, sheretz is only metame b'mago. If you touch the sheretz, it is tummy. If you carry a sheretz, you're not tummy. Let's say the sheretz is wrapped up in a bag, and you just carry the bag, the Haber's bag, let's say, you're not tummy. And niddah is metame b'masa. If a person carries a niddah, then he's tummy. So if I was to ask you, is Avodah Zarah metame b'masa? Is Avodah Zarah metame through carrying? What would you answer? Oh, very, very good. That's what I would have wanted to say. If somebody would have asked me, is Avodah Zarah metame by carrying it without touching it, I would have said it's a machlokas Tanna Kama or Akiva. Tanna Kama says it's like a sheretz will hold. It's not tummy. Why? Because a sheretz is not metame b'masa, and Avodah Zarah is like sheretz. Rabbi Akiva, who says that Avodah Zarah is like a niddah, will hold that yes, it is tummy. Comes along Rabba and says no, that's not pshat in the machlokas. That everybody holds the kulam pligi do metame discussion niddah. In the end of the day, Avodah Zarah is compared to niddah. Ki pligi be'evan mesama. Evan mesama is one of these fascinating halachos. It's like this. Normally we said if a niddah sits on the couch and there are 10 couches, 10 pillows on the couch, and she sits on the top one, they all become tummy. Every single one, even though she never touched them. And not only they become tummy, they become avhatum. Avhatum. There's a special halacha that if a niddah sits, then let's just one more thing. If a niddah was to sit, let's say, on a bench, and then what happens is, if you put underneath it a apple or something, it's not tummy. Because at the end of the day, she never sat on it. She didn't sit on it. She sat on the bench. Underneath the bench came an apple, came something else, rolled an apple. There's a special halacha regarding a heavy stone, which is supported by supports around it. And the niddah sits on it. And underneath the stone is another item. There's a special halacha that the tumah goes through the stone onto the food underneath it. This is a special halacha by Evan.
Is this item supporting the stone?
No, not supporting the stone. Very good. The item is not supporting the stone, and afa pikein it is metame. Here it's got a picture of it, right? You've got this massive rock with 4 legs, and underneath it there's some item, and that item becomes tomei. The special halacha. The word mesama means placed. Something placed to cover. And it actually comes from the pasuk in Daniel, when Daniel was thrown into the lion's den. Belshazzar did not want Daniel to be harmed, put a special stone to protect, like a sealing stone. So a stone which is placed in to not be moved, that is metame through. That's a special halacha by niddah. So Rabbi says like this: when the Tanna Kama and Rabbi Akiva argued, if Avodah Zarah is tummy like sheretz, or if it's tummy like a niddah, The argument is only regarding Evan Mesama. But regarding carrying it, everybody agrees it's Tomei. So let's read again from Omar Abba again. For Omar Abba, the master, the Kulam Alei Pigi de Metame do Eskish to Nida. It's compared to Nida. Keep Pigi Bevan Mesama. Keep us so like Nida. Man Nida Metame Mesama. After with the Zom Metame Bevan Mesama. So if you put with the Zom on this slab of stone, then what's underneath it will become Tomei. But Bon Sobi, Kesheretz, Masheretz, Nemetame Bevan Mesama, after with the Zom Metame Bevan Mesama. It's not Metame. Says the Gemara, Ulu Rabbi Akiva, who holds that it's got tumah like a niddah. Lemay hilchasei iskash desharetz. So why we said before there are two psukim. One pasuk says avodah zarah is compared to sheretz. One pasuk says avodah zarah is compared to niddah. According to Rabbi Akiva, avodah zarah has tumah like a niddah. So why indeed does the Torah compare it to sheretz? Answers the Gemara lemishamshei. Things which are used for avodah zarah, ornaments which are placed in avodah zarah's home, which the Rishonim point out nobody serves, because in those days they used to serve a lot of different things. We're talking about an ornament which is never served. Nobody ever treats it as a god, but it's there just to make the avodah zarah's room look nicer. That is metame like sheretz. It's metame like a masa. The halacha is nevela is also metame b'masa. Why talk about the fact that it's tomei like niddah to tell you that it's metame b'masa? It should say like nevela, and then you gain something else. What do you gain? Because niddah is metame b'masa, and nevela is not. Now, since the Chachamim hold, the Tanakama hold that avodah zarah is not metame b'masa, so it would make more sense for the Torah to compare avodah zarah to nevela than to niddah. Answers the Gemara, Enochinam, you're right. Eloman niddah, Eino leivoim, af avodah zarah eino leivoim. There's a special halacha regarding a woman who's a niddah. And let's say a woman becomes a niddah so she's tummy, and then chas v'shalom aleichem, she loses her hand is amputated. And then somebody touches their hand. Now, if the hand was not amputated and touches their hand, she becomes tummy. But here, because the hand is amputated, the hand loses its tumah. The amputated limb of a niddah is not metam. And therefore, the Torah says, avodah zarah is like a niddah, to teach you that what? That if an avodah zarah gets amputated, if a limb of an avodah zarah gets cut off, then it's not metam. The Gemara. Well, the boy of Chama Baguya. Avodah zarah yeshnu levam eino levarim. Well, Chama Baguya asked the Shaila, does avodah zarah metame when it's cut off in limbs or not? Tifshet mahadul abundant eino levam. We should learn it out from the Chachamim that it's not levam. And it's more Chama Baguya live Rabbi Akiva boylo. He asked the Shaila only according to Rabbi Akiva. Let us summarize. The halacha is that midrash abanon avodah zarah is tomei. Minatir it's not tomei, only midrash abanon. There are two psukim that compare avodah zarah to tumah. One pasuk compares it to a niddah. One pasuk compares it to a sheretz. There's machlokes Tanakama Rabbi Akiva. Tanakama says that it's tomei like a sheretz. Rabbi Akiva says it's tomei like niddah. Comes along Rabban and explains as follows. Regarding tumas masa that it carries, it becomes tomei. Everybody agrees it's tomei, like a niddah. The whole machlokes is only regarding Evan Mesama, and then the Tanakama says it's not Tomei, Kiva says it is Tomei. Asks the Gemara if that's the case, according to the Chachamim, why is the Torah indeed compared to niddah? The answer is to tell you that an amputated limb of avodah zarah is not Tomei like an amputated limb of a niddah. Asks the Gemara, according to Rabbi Akiva, why does the Torah compare avodah zarah to a sheretz? He holds it's Tomei like niddah. The Gemara explains to tell us that the mishamshe, the ornaments of avodah zarah, those are tomei like sheretz. So far, we've explained the machlokes Tanakama and Rabbi Akiva, all according to Rabbi. Now we're going to bring Rabbi Lezer, who's more maker. Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Lezer, the Amoy Rabbi Lezer. The Evan Mesama, the Kramari Pliga Dele Metam. Of course, it's not Metam Ben Mesama. Why? Because at the end of the day, the Torah compares it to sheretz and something. Kil Pliga Ben Masa. Rabbi Akiva saw like niddah, maniddah metam ben masa, af avodah zarah metam ben masa. Just like niddah, if you carry it to its stomach, also avodah zarah. Abon sovi kesheretz. Ma sheretz le metabe b'maso. Just like a sheretz not metabe b'maso, after the zon le metabe b'maso. That means Abolozo actually explains the machlokes how we would have explained it. The Pashup Pshat Lechayot. That the Tanakama holds like it's sheretz, so it's not metame b'masa at all. Just like sheretz is not metame b'masa. And the Akiva who says that it is Tomei, he holds that it's like a niddah. And it is metame b'masa. But certainly everybody agrees that the Avodah Zarah is not metame b'masa. Why does the Torah compare it to sheretz? If he holds that it's metame b'masa like a niddah, and says more than for its user, for its services, things like its ornaments and things which are used to serve it. Well, and says more, just like a niddah, if a piece gets amputated, a limb gets amputated, there's no tumor on that limb. So too, b'avodah zarah, there's no tumor. Just like if a lady who's a niddah loses a limb, that limb is torn. So too, there's other tumor, by the way. I shouldn't say it's torn. There's other tumor. An amputated limb could have tumas ne'anes. Etc. Rashi discusses that, but it doesn't have the tumor of niddah. Says the Gemara, Daf Pei Gimel Amud Aleph, top of the page. Why did we say it's compared to niddah to tell us that it's metame even by just carrying it? Lukshin in nevela, compare it to nevela, and that would be much better. Why is it better if you compare it to nevela? Because then you would say as follows. Nevela is metame b'maso, and so is avodah zarah. Nevela is not metame be'evan mesamo, and also avodah zarah is not metame be'evan mesamo. By comparing it to niddah, you're confusing the issue because niddah is metame be'evan mesamo, and avodah zarah not. Says God says enochanami, and a man niddah in the levom, avodah zarah in the levorim. The reason why the Torah compares avodah zarah to niddah and not to nevela, to teach us this specific halacha that amputated limb is not tamei. Says, well, I hold the boy of Chamabar Guya with the Zayesh the Levom in the Levorim. He asks a shaila, if a limb of Avodah Zarah, if it's tamei or not, Tifshetemo Ben Rabban Ben Akiva in the Levorim. Both of them agree with this drasha now. Both of them agree that when the Torah compares Avodah Zarah to niddah, it's going to teach us this specific halacha that it does not metame the limbs. So therefore, why did the Chamabar Guya even ask this shaila? Is whether it's avodah zarah is metame with the amputated limbs, and it's more of Chamabar Guya kivabe masnei or boilo alibad Rabbi Akiva. So he asks it according to Rabbi Akiva. That means he agrees according to Rabbi Lezer. There's no shaila. The shaila is only according to Rabbi, according to Rabbi Akiva. Let us summarize briefly. We have a halacha that avodah zarah is tamei. We have two psukim. One pasuk compares it to niddah, one pasuk compares it to sheretz. We have a machlekes Tanoim, Tanakama, Rabbi Akiva. Tanakama says avodah zarah is metame like a sheretz. Rabbi Akiva says it's metame like niddah. We have a machlekes Amoraim in a machlekes Tanoim. There's a machlekes Amoraim. What was the machlekes Tanoim? Rabbi's opinion is, Rabbi says that everybody agrees that it's metame b'maso, carrying avodah zarah is tamei, just like touching it. The whole machlekes is only going to be evan mesama, a placed stone for things underneath if it's tamei. Rabbi Lezer says no. The machlekes is whether it is tamei even by carrying or not. And the Gemara asks a question on each one. What do they do with the other psukim? And the Gemara finds answers each time. The Gemara explains what the drashas are for, either to teach us that it's not metame leivoim, meaning that an amputated limb of avodah zarah is not tamei like an amputated limb of a niddah. Alternatively, to teach us that the shamshei avodah zarah, like a sheretz, to tell you that something which is used in avodah zarah's home is not tamei like niddah, it's only metame like sheretz. Now the Gemara is going to bring a few brises which seem to say like Rabbi Elazar and not like Rabbi. And the Gemara every time manages to fit it in even according to Rabbi. Meisvi. Avodah zarah kesheretz. Avodah zarah is like a sheretz. Umeshamshei kesheretz. That's Shittas Tanakama. Avodah zarah keniddah umeshamshei kesheretz. Avodah zarah is like niddah, but the things that are used for is like a sheretz. Vishem Rabbi Elazar nicha. It says exactly like what he says. According to the Tanakama, it's not metame b'mason. According to Rabbi Akiva, it is. Ele leRabbi kasha. According to Rabbi, it's shleim. Is this stronger than the Mishnah we quoted earlier in Avodah Zarah? Diktani eitzav avono v'afo metamin kesheretz. Where Kimna and I explained it. My kesheretz. What's mean like kesheretz? That means that which the Brisa says The avodah zarah is only tummy like sheretz and no more, does not mean that it's not metame b'masa. Of course, it is metame b'masa. What the Bryce is coming to teach us is simply that it's not metame be'evan mesamo, and that in that way it's like sheretz, not like niddah. And that's what the Bryce means, and it's not a kasha against Rabbi. Basically, nochi v'nochis, a non-Jewish man or non-Jewish woman, avodah zarah or an idol, or mishamasheh, or the things that serve. That means things that are used in avodah zarah. Hein v'lo yeseta. They are tummy, but not their movements. That means if they move something, it's not metame. Sorry, hein v'lo yeseta means having another noise. V'lo yeseta means not moved. That means if you touch a goy's tummy, you move a goy, you do not become tummy.
Indirectly moving without touching.
Sorry?
When it says moving, it means indirectly moving without touching.
Yes, that's right. Indirectly. That means when we talk about carrying, we always talk about a situation where you're carrying the item without touching it. Because if you're touching the item, then you always tell me for touching it. So that's why I give an example where you carry something inside a Haber's bag or something, or you've got a way of carrying it without actually touching. Because once you touch it, you're obviously telling us mag. Them touching them and moving them. Because he holds that according to the Tanakama, moving a bit is not tummy. According to Rabbi, it's shver. Because according to Rabbi, he holds that everybody agrees that moving avodah zarah makes a person tummy. So his seitam, which means moving the avodah zarah, should make you tummy. According to you, would you hold that a goy, non-Jewish man, non-Jewish woman, moving them doesn't make you tummy? For Tanya, min ha-Torah, a non-Jewish man or woman will never become tummy from ziva, right? Or niddah for that price. So a non-Jewish woman that's a niddah or a zava is not tummy min ha-Torah, because the Torah's halachas of zava and ziva were only given to Yidden. But avol gozu alein shizovin klechod divrei, that midrabanon all goyim are tummy. Does anybody remember? We did have this before. Why are all goyim tummy? Anybody remember?
Say they're like nidos or something.
Why?
There was a kasha. There was like a kasha from what age or something.
Yeah, but why? What? Okay, but why? Does anybody remember why? Why are the goyim tummy? Chazal never wanted Jewish children to mix with non-Jewish men or women because they were scared they would molest them, the Mishkav Zoch and things like that. So therefore, what they did was they made them all tummy. Therefore, a person would be reluctant to let his child get touched or touch a non-Jewish person. Okay. Now, it says the words of this Braisa, Kezovin l'chol divrei. What's the halacha of a zov? If a person carries a zov, what's the halacha? It's tummy. So it says clearly that a goy who's carried is tummy. So how can the Braisa say that carrying a goy is not tummy? Everybody agrees that carrying a goy is tummy. So this Braisa says, Rabbi, which you're using to attack me with, to question me with, is actually problematic even according to you. Elo, Rabbi B'taz L'tamei, and later the Gemara says, I'm not Rabbi Elazar B'taz L'tamei. So Rabbi explains according to his opinion, and Rabbi Elazar according to his. And the more explains. Elo Rabbi B'taz L'tamei, Nochi V'nochis Hein, Ve'Seitan, Even Nesame Shalohen. A goy, man or woman, them, and moving them. And the Even Nesame Shalohen, what they sit on. Avodah zarah and avodah zarah he ve'Seitan, it, and its movements, carrying it. But not its Even Mesama. That is all Tomei. But not Even Mesama of Avodah Zarah, like what Rabbi holds in Shittas Tanakama. According to the Tanakama, Even Mesama is not Tomei. Avodah Zarah, he, Ve'Seita, Even Mesama Shalo is all Tomei. Even Even Mesama of Avodah Zarah is Tomei. That means Rabbi explains that the Machlekes Tanakama and Rabbi Kiva, like he always held, is regarding Avodah Zarah on Even Mesama if it's Betame or not. Rabbi Elazar B'taz L'tamei. Nochi v'nochis hein ve'Seitan, them and carrying them, Even Mesama Shalahen, and their stone, then it's Betame. Avodah Zarah, he v'lo yaseitan, it but not carrying it, because according to Rabbi Elazar, according to the Tanakama, carrying Avodah Zarah doesn't make one tummy. It and carrying it. According to Rabbi Akiva, carrying the Avodah is Tom. That means the Gemara says that Rabban and Rabbi Loza who argue B'Shittas Tanakama and Rabbi Akiva, what the opinions hold, they fit it into this brisa. Because anyway, we're going to have to change the words of the brisa, because the brisa as it stands is anyway problematic, because the brisa seems to say that carrying a goy does not make you tummy, and we know that it does. Asks Rav Ashi, my hey, if the brisa, when it says heseta, means carrying them, and the brisa means carrying them is tummy, so why is brisa to say, hey, they are tummy, and carrying them is tummy? If carrying them is tummy, kavachima, they are tummy. The brisa should have just said, carrying them makes you tummy. The fact that brisa says, hey, they are tummy, Satan pushes us to the conclusion that when the brisa says Satan, it doesn't mean carrying them, but rather them carrying others. And Rashi points out that that's the normal translation of Hesed. Hesed normally means something which has been moved by something else. And he explains this. My hein, why does it have to say hein is Tommy? Of course they're Tommy, because he said carrying them is Tommy. If a Yid moves a Goy, or a Goy moves a Yid, either way the Yid becomes Tommy. Which other people move it to him, the toy, because we're going to Shittas Rabbi Loza that holds that carrying Avodah Zarah doesn't make you tummy. Sorry, no, I made a mistake. Avodah Zarah moves somebody else to him in it is toy, because the Avodah Zarah that moves another person doesn't make you a tumah. To me, because of carrying it, but the service of the Avodah Zarah, to him, either way it is toy, because the whole din of Tumas Hesed only applies to the Avodah Zarah itself, not to the Shamoshim. Either if they move others, others move them, it's always Tomei. So therefore, according to Rav Ashi, when it says Satan, it's not referring to moving the Avodah Zarah. It's all, when we talk about Satan, it's not referring to moving a goy. We mean that when a goy moves us, or Avodah Zarah moves us, then we become Tomei. I mean, like this, if a person was to carry a non-Jewish child on his back, the halacha would be that he becomes Tomei, even if he doesn't touch the non-Jewish child, because they're Tomei. So more says like this, Avodah Zarah. It makes a lot of sense to talk about a case of Avodah Zarah is moved by someone else. Somebody picks up an Avodah Zarah, carries it, Tomei. When are you ever going to have a situation of an Avodah Zarah which carries something? Avodah Zarah are things that cannot move. They're immovable. They're inanimate objects. They don't do anything. So how can you ever have a situation that Avodah Zarah carries something and then you have to say, well, it's not Matomei? Because it's not. We're talking about the scales, where you have a big scales, and then what you do is you put something on the scales. On one side you put Avodah Zarah or Zov or something like that. On the other side you put fruit. So then the actual Avodah Zarah, by placing the Avodah Zarah on one pan of the scales, by one side of the scales, and that weighs down, it lifts up something else. So that is what we're discussing over here. If you put a zov on the scale, and you put food and drink on the other scales, if the zov is strong, weighs more, tamei, and everything becomes tamei, because we consider it as if the zov moved something. And the halacha is that when the zov moves something, it is tamei. Top of Big Gimel on base, if they weigh more, Tahovin the toy. And here actually discusses why is it toy. Let's imagine you've got big scales, and you put one side a man who's a zov, and on the other side you put a big pile of fruit, and the big pile of fruit is so heavy, or the man is so light, that the fruit outweigh and they lift the zov up into the air. The halacha is that the fruit is toy. Why is it toy? It says Rashi like this: which tumah is there by zov? One tumah is called tumas medus, which is sitting on, but this is not sitting on. Why is it not sitting? Because that is only discussing sitting is something which is suitable for sitting. This is not suitable for sitting. This is something which is made to get off. Oh, what about Tumas Masa? Says Rashi that also there isn't, because Tumas Masa only exists by people. If a man, if a human being, if a yid carries a goy, then it becomes tummy. If an object carries a goy, there's no tumor. So previously, when we talked about Avodah Zarah carrying, how can an Avodah Zarah ever carry something? The answer is simply, if you put the Avodah Zarah on one side of the scales, that's the way that Avodah Zarah can carry something. Says the Gemara, "Kaman Oslo the Tanya." Who does it go like this? Brisa, Kolat Tamiris and Mesitos Tovis. That anything which is Tommy, which moves something which is toy, then the thing is toy. Chutz be'seita shel zov, except for a zov, that if a zov moves something, it makes it Tommy. Shalei motzinu loi b'chover b'chol ha'teira kulo. There's no such thing ever that something which is carried by something else becomes Tommy. That a tumor can create tumor just by carrying something. Because normally tumor is when you carry the Tommy thing. Here we're creating tumor by the Tommy thing carrying something to it. Says the Gemara, Lema deloiku Rabbi Akiva. It must be not like Rabbi Akiva because it says there's nothing else like it. Let's say it's not like Rabbi Akiva. Dik Rabbi Akiva can have Avodah Zarah. According to Rabbi Akiva, Avodah Zarah is also metame b'masa. According to this Pshat, according to Rav Ashi, that Hesed over here means that Avodah Zarah moves. It means Zov and anything like Zov. Now, Avodah Zarah is comparable to Zov, and therefore, just like Zov is metame when it carries something, also, just like a Zov is metame when it carries things, also a Avodah Zarah is metame. So, if we got no right, that it's not like Rabbi Akiva. To summarize the sugya so far, we have a halacha that Avodah Zarah is Tommy. Does anybody know? Is that the halacha? Is it D'oraisa or D'Rabbanan? Does anybody know offhand?
Rabbanan.
It's only D'Rabbanan. Oh, it's only D'Rabbanan. There's no tumor in that here. We have two psukim. One pasuk compares it to Sheretz, and one pasuk compares it to Nidam. And we have a question. We have a machlekes tanoim. What is the tumor of the Zohar? Is it like Nidam? Is it like Sheretz? And we have a machlekes amorim. How to fit it in? According to Rabbi, according to everybody, Avodah Zarah is metame by carrying. The whole question is if it's metame by Evan Mesama. According to Rabbi Lezer, by Evan Mesama, according to everybody, it's not Tomei. The whole machlekes is it Tomei by carrying? It says more like this. Boy, Rav Choma bar Goya, which we discussed before briefly. Avodah Zarah yesh lo levom eno levom. What's the din that an Avodah Zarah that gets an amputated limb? I just want to read the first top two lines of Tosfos because it's a Yisodistic Tosfos. Avodah Zarah yesh lo levom chulu. V'shel chulu yis miboyalei. We're talking about Avodah Zarah made out of pieces, joints. Avodah Zarah shenishtabbo pshitelei delemetama. Then obviously it's not Tommy. Now, Avodah Zarah that smashes into pieces is not Tommy. But we're talking about an Avodah Zarah which didn't smash into pieces. Rather, the Avodah Zarah just got broken down into its different parts. So does it get Tommy or not? If a head, that's an unskilled person, somebody who's not got a skill, can put it back together, of course it's Tommy. Why is it Tommy? Because since it's so easy to put it back together again, it's like it's already back. It's already as if it's already built. The fact that nobody can put it back, not an unskilled person cannot put it back, is a right that it's broken. Since it's broken, so therefore it's not Tommy. It's not missing. Since it's not missing anything, it's just been broken down to parts. Therefore, maybe it's still Tommy. So the shaila is like this. Not machlek. The shaila is in Avodah Zarah that's broken down to pieces without being smashed. That means it's not broken. Just the pieces have been taken apart, right? It's like a Lego Avodah Zarah. You've taken the Lego pieces apart without actually breaking it. You've just taken it apart. If a straight, simple person can put it back together, then of course it's Tommy because it's as if it's already built. The question is if it requires a skilled person to put it back together again, is it metame or not? Some say the shayla is the other way around. If it requires a skilled person to put it back, everybody agrees. There's no shayla that it's not Tommy. Why? Because it's broken. And at the moment it's in pieces, how can it become Tommy? The shayla is when a simple person can put it back together. Given the headed ochelach zir command mesabadomi, since the headed can put it back. So therefore, it command mechabadomi, it's as if it's already been built. At the moment, it's in pieces. And since at the moment it is pieces, so therefore it's not Tomei Teiku. So I've got two, there's a Shaila of the Gemara. Now with the Zoh which is broken down into pieces, taken apart, is it Tomei or not? The Gemara says Teiku, we do not know the answer to this Shaila. Regarding this Shaila, there are two versions. One version is that the Shaila is referring to a case where it requires a skilled person to put it back. If a non-skilled person puts it back, everybody, there's no shaila that it is tomei because of the fact that it's already back. It's so simple to put it back as if it's already back in one piece. Alternatively, the shaila is only when a simple person puts it back. When it requires a skilled person to put it back, everybody agrees it's not tomei. If you've got an avodah which is smaller than the size of a kazayis, what's the dip? That means you've got an idol which is tiny, tiny, tiny little thing, right? And then we just saw the size of a peanut, right? Is it metame? Now, regarding tumah, we've said many times that sheretz is metame by how much?
Dosha.
The chadosha, lentil, tiny piece. And mace, a dead person, how much do you have to have?
Kazayis.
Kazayis. You need to have a kazayis. So here we've got an avodah which is less than a kazayis. If it's tomei, so you should say it depends if it's like a shell, it's like to mix. The first thing Moshe tries to establish, what is the shaila? I jumped the gun a bit by saying the shaila is got in tumah. The Gemara now tries to establish what is the shaila. So the Gemara says like this: what's the shaila? If the shaila is if it's forbidden to get pleasure from, of course it's awesome. There was a certain avodah which was made in the size and the shape of a fly, which Klal Yisrael for some reason were very, very, very attached to. And of course it was a proper avodah and it's completely forbidden. The Tanya. They made Baal Bris as a god. And the Chazal tell us this is referring to the avodah the shape of a fly. Melamed, the fact that the Torah calls it bris, they made a covenant, made a bond with it, shows us they didn't just serve avodah zarah. They became attached, they became bonded with avodah zarah. Melamed, this teaches us it would make a shape of his avodah zarah. Can you imagine? They would have an avodah zarah which would fit inside the pocket. When they would remember the avodah zarah, they take it out of the pocket, kiss it and hug it. So you see that it's possible to have an avodah zarah the size of a fly, which is a lot smaller than kazayis. And of course, it's also ba'anok. If that's also ba'anok, everything else. Again, the Gemara asks the shaila, what's the halacha of avodah zarah smaller than kazayis? Says, well, what's the shaila? Of course, it's also. We know for a fact that avodah zarah is smaller than a fly. What's the dip? Kivudis the sheretz. Since it's compared to a sheretz, just like a sheretz is metame the size of a lentil, also avodah zarah is metame like a lentil. It's also compared to the dead. Ma mace because avodah zarah because that means if you compare avodah zarah to a dead person, it's only metame because if you compare it to a sheretz, it is tomei by a lentil. And the question is, the problem is avodah zarah is compared to both. So which one are we going to do? Like? Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yehuda Steinberg about Ola Toshma the Tanya avodah zarah b'chusim mikazayis ein bo tumah kol hekam. There's no tumah whatsoever. Shenema v'yashtich esafor kever b'neom ma meis mikazayis avodah zarah mikazayis. What happened was Shiur Melech got rid of avodah zarah and he killed all the people that were priests for avodah zarah. And then after he killed them, he took all the idols and cut them down and scattered the pieces of avodah zarah over the burial places of the people that served avodah zarah. And we see from the fact of the Torah comparing the two together, the avodah zarah and the people serving avodah zarah, just like the dead people, a dead person is only metame the size of a kazayis, also an avodah zarah is only tameh bekazayis. I just want to say one small point. We always have a principle that zel umazeh bo elokim. When Hashem creates something, He always creates like a balance. We've got very, very evil things, we've got very righteous things. That's a very big chizuk when you see somebody like Hitler Yamach Shemo, you could, the nastiest, that some people the opposite way around do. Tremendous Bali Chesed, you've always got Zen Umasei. Shloch always makes contrast. If it would be too much Ra, then the Tov wouldn't have a chance, and vice versa. We see from this Gemara that there was a possibility to be so attached to Avodah Zarah that what they used to do was they used to carry it around in their pockets and hug it and kiss it every time they would remember. And that's how attached they were to Avodah Zarah. Midot Tov and Merubah Kavachim for God into Hashem. That it's possible for a person to be so attached to Hashem that, so to speak, as every moment of the day, any given moment, he can hug and kiss Hashem in his mind, obviously. And that's a very important point, that we have to learn from the way they behave, the way the Avodah Zarah behaved, how we can behave. Okay, so the Gemara says that like this. V'rabbonim, lemay hilchasei iskash. The Gemara says a very interesting thing. I'll say it outside first. Avodah Zarah is compared to three things. It's compared to sheretz, it's compared to niddah, it's compared to mace. Three things it's compared to. And each time it's compared to something, we learn halacha. And the fascinating thing is that every time we learn halacha, we come up every single time with a new color. And let's say it inside that. It was like this. The sheretz compared to sheretz, just like a sheretz is not tomei if you carry it without touching it. Also, Avodah Zarah is not tomei if you carry it without touching it. Leniddah is compared to niddah. That detached piece is not tomei. So also the Avodah Zarah, detached limb is not tomei. Lemeis is compared to mace. Bechadosha is not tomei by the size of a lentil. That means the Torah compares Avodah Zarah to three things: to a dead, to a niddah, to a sheretz. And every time you find a color, by a dead person you need a kazais, Avodah Zarah you need a kazais. By a niddah, if it's detached limb, it's not tomei. Avodah Zarah it's not tomei. By sheretz, it's not tomei by carrying. Avodah Zarah is not tomei by carrying. Let's say the exact same things as always the chumrah. Why the Torah compared to sheretz? It's more bechadosha to say it's tomei by adosha as an entum. Leniddah, it's more better than summer. That's what time they with this placed stone. Akshach monalim mace, it's more boil, and the Torah compares it to a dead in order to say that it's tomei boil. That means the Torah compares Avodah Zarah to three different things, and each time you find the whole color out of it, forget. Let's say the other way around, and we should say that each time the Torah compares it to a specific thing, it's come to a chumrah. The Torah compares it to sheretz to tell you it's tomei by a lentil, by the dead person to tell you it's tomei by oil, and by niddah to tell you it's tomei by mesamo. And it says more tumas Avodah Zarah d'rabbanan hi. Since the Avodah Zarah is a d'rabbanan d'kedin, so you've got a chumrah, a kula, we always compare it to the kula, not the chumrah. And that's why we say that it's always the kula. So we've got three comparisons to Avodah Zarah. One is to mace, one is to sheretz, and one to niddah. And every comparison, we use it as a kula. By mace, to teach you that it has to be the size of a kazais. Less than the size of a kazais, Avodah Zarah is not tamei. If let's say a person will go and find a cross, less than the size of a kazais, it's not tamei. Or if a person finds another kula is it's not metamei be'evan mesamo. That we learn from sheretz. We learn that it's not metamei b'masot. That if you carry it, it's not tomei. That we learn from sheretz. Just like sheretz not tomei carry. And from niddah we learn that it's not tomei if it's in pieces. If you have a piece of Avodah Zarah, it's not tomei. So we learn because it's any d'rabbanan. We learn three colors. Okay, we'll stop here because it's a new mishnah. It's kedai to stop by a new mishnah. I just want to say that I'll just say a very short point that we learn from Mus. That the pasuk says by Yomi that she was walking back to Eretz Yisrael. She said to them, "Ki mali ma'od mikem." It's bitter from you, from me, from you. Because what happened was she was saying to us and Arpa, "I don't want you to come back with me to Eretz Yisrael. Who knows what future you will have? And I'm worried about you, and I'm upset about your future." And she was saying to them that I'm upset about your situation. You must remember, Yomi herself was going through a very, very hard time. She had lost a husband and all her children. She would have been forgiven if she had been wallowing in her pity, in her sadness. Instead, what does she do? She thinks of what other people are suffering. And that shows the gadlus of a person. Many times a person is easy to think about other people's troubles. But when he's got his own issues, it's very hard to think about other people's issues. I say this because we're in a lockdown now. People go through a hard time. Some people getting disturbed by different things financially. Some people are finding the social isolation hard. Some people are finding the shiur difficult. There's many difficulties. And many times, a person says, well, I'm going through my own parasha. Why should I have to worry about other people? I have to concentrate on my own good. What we see from Naomi was not like that. That even in her time of tzara, she was still busy thinking about Rus and Orpah. Just a very sweet story that I once read. There was once, when Shimon Zalman Auerbach was in Shaarei Tzedek, because his wife had just been nifted. He was a very devoted husband, had a very happy marriage for many years. And they were married for many, many years, and he was standing in the corridor, and the doctors had just told him, we're very, very sorry to tell you, we couldn't save your wife, she's been nifted. Right? While he was standing in the corridor, there was another person in the hospital who had just had his first baby. So excited. In those days, they didn't have mobiles. So what do you do when you have a baby? You want to share the news with somebody. So he went looking around, who can he tell the news to? He sees Shimon Zalman, he doesn't know why he's in hospital. So he goes up to him and says to him, Rebbe, I had my first child. So Shimon Zalman takes his hand, a long mazel tov, much nachas, brochas, smiles at him, rejoices with him. He doesn't mention a word about the fact that he's himself in mourning of the loss of his wife. That's a gadlus of a person. That person can many times have issues. The person has to remember that it doesn't matter what a person's own issues are. A person has to be able to think about what other people are going through. That's an important message for now. And forget, I think to myself that when a person is able to think about other people's issues at a time when it's more difficult, then the schar will be much, much, much greater. We can't imagine how much reward we get when we're frustrated with the situation that we're in. And even so, we're still pleasant to the people around us. It's not always easy. But Akshwoch will certainly give us much, much, much more schar. And that's a nice message from Naomi that she said, Mali ma'oid mikem, that I'm very bitter, but I'm more worried about what you're going through than my own personal issues. Any questions regarding Tumas Avodah Zorah, or alternatively about Rus and Naomi? Even though Tumas Avodah Zorah is not a topic which probably excites people's imagination all that much.
Ghana is that is it a machlokas when you put, what's it called again, when you put it on a heavy stone?
Yes.
Then the thing, is lemaskana, is it machlokas?
So it's machlekes Rabba and Rabba Loza if it's a machlekes Rabbi Akiva and the Chachamim. That means Rabba according to Rabbi Akiva says it's Tomei, Rabba according to Akama says it's Torah, Rabbi Loza according to everybody says it's Torah. According to Rabbi Loza there was never an argument about that. Everybody says it's Torah. According to Rabba it's machlekes. Very good. I wish you all a very, very good night. And let's lacha with everything. And shkoyach for joining in. Is everybody okay? Everything all right? Yeah? Say that. Okay, call to. Good night. Let's lacha. I'm telling it off. Very good night.